Do a little modern versus vintage comparison, if you will. Not your normal modern versus vintage flex can only see. I figured I'd change it up a little bit. I'm going to do a modern versus vintage comparison of two pens that I use regularly as daily writers or workhorse pens. This is a Lamy 2000 in the Macrolon, the fiberglass version. This is a Sheaffer Oversize Balance Celluloid, green jade celluloid balance. Both of these pens can be had for around $120 or so, depending on the condition of the balance. You can get them for anywhere from $50 to $350. But you can get a pretty decent one for about $120 or so, which is I think exactly what I paid for this Lamy 2000. They're both excellent pens. I use them both at work regularly, and I work in somewhat of a harsh environment in a garage, in an automotive garage. I do a lot of writing at work on crappy paper, and these both do just fine. So I figured I would do a quick comparison on which one is better. They're basically as a kind of a knock-around, upper level knock-around durability pen. They're both very similar in size. The Sheaffer is a bit, and this is the Balance Oversize, it's a bit longer when capped. When they're uncapped, they're nearly identical in length. The Sheaffer nib is much larger, at least the exposed portion. Sheaffer is still a bit longer. The Sheaffer is also much thicker, at least in the grip section. The center girth of the pens, of the barrels, is very similar, but where you hold it, the grip of the Sheaffer is much thicker. It has a little bit of a flare down here, slash straightening, or almost like, yeah, straightening of the grip there. That it starts to be conical and then is cylindrical there at the end, straight cylindrical, and it's very, very comfortable. The Lamy 2000, which many people have used, is really a pen for some people and a pen that's not for others. It is very thin. I hold this pen higher than I hold any other pen that I write with. I hold this pen up here. If you're used to holding down in the nib, this is gonna feel very weird to you. And it's really because the nib is hooded, I think. It's not when you write with the Sheaffer, you don't hold it down here, which is where you'd be if you had your normal grip. What feels normal in a Lamy, people hold, just a half an inch or quarter inch or so from the end of the nib. If you think about where the nib actually is, it makes more sense to hold the pen back a little bit farther. So that's where I hold it. The Sheaffer is more comfortable for me, but that's a preference thing. They're similar in size. They're nearly the identical weight. The Sheaffer is 25 grams inked. The Lamy, the 2000, is 26 grams. The ink capacity is very similar. They're both right around 1 milliliter. The Sheaffer has a size 20 sac in it, so depending on what size the bladder is, it may hold a little bit more or a little bit less. The 20s hold right around a milliliter. I personally think that lever fillers are my preferred filler. There's nothing quicker. You get a really good fill. You don't have to pump it. You flip it open, you close, put in the ink, and you close it, and that's it. You wipe the nib. The piston is a twisting, and then a twisting back in, which is also easy, and it's very durable. It's more durable than the lever filler, I would say. The lever boxes can break. The bladders can obviously fail. I guess you can have failures with the piston as well, but less so, I would say. Another big thing for me is uncapping and capping of the pen. I do that very often. I make a lot of quick notes, writing on repair orders and whatnot. There's really nothing better than the Lamy 2000 for uncapping and capping. It's really quick. It has an unbelievably satisfying little click from these small little metal detents that are on the barrel of the pen. You can see right there. You click right onto the cap. It works great. And the Sheaffer, you do have to unscrew, which is a little bit more of a pain for me. These threads are nice. There's good resistance. It doesn't hop the first thread. These threads are in good shape. Depending on the shape that your threads are in, you may you not be so lucky. These pens are getting old now, and naturally some of the threads are going to be a little bit damaged on some of them. This is a cool looking pen. I love these things. All right, let's see, what else do I have here? Both of these are really good writers, obviously. They're both fine nibs. This is a fine nib, Lamy fine. The Sheaffer is a 0.5 millimeter Greg Manuskin retip. It's not a stub, it's a regular round tip, 0.5 millimeter fine. It writes absolutely beautifully. The Sheaffer feeds on these balances are amazing for fine nibs. They deliver a really wet, fine line. No burping, nothing like that. They're real. They had them really figured out at this point in the company's history. I took the cap off of both of these pens and let them sit for 5 full minutes with no writing to see how they did, which one dried out, and both of them, right to paper, went wet line after 5 full minutes. Perfect wet line, immediate start, no hard start. Both of them did that. Both of these pens are good non-leakers. They're not going to leak in your pocket. The Sheaffer does, when jostled around a bit on a humid day, it does get a little bit more nib creep, especially on the shoulders of the nib, which you can probably see right now. You get a little bit of ink on the shoulders if you're not cleaning the cap regularly. Both shoulders will probably end up getting ink on them. I don't mind that, but if it gets to be ridiculous, it's you get too much ink in there, you can have issues. You pull it out and everything's covered in ink. You don't want that. The Lamy's a little bit better, but both of them will leak a tiny bit, as all fountain pens do in a humid day. It's bouncing around your pocket. They're both clip caps. The Lamy clip is probably a little bit sturdier in terms of durability. I trust it a little bit more. It does not have as much tension. I do like the teeter-totter spring-loaded clip that these pens have. It's really easy for me to put it in my pocket. Works every time. It is a little bit loose though. There's really not that much tension on it. This Sheaffer clip is beautiful. This one happens to be in very, very good condition. And these are pretty strong clips. They're much stronger than the riveted hard rubber ebonite pens. The earlier pens were much stronger than those clip caps. I trust this clip cap. This isn't that expensive of a pen, so if something happens to it, I could probably find a replacement cap for not too much. And so it's worth it for me to carefully clip it onto my pocket. Some people will cringe and tell you that you're an idiot if you do that, if you tell them that you do that. That's their prerogative. They both are great in that regard. One of the things I noted here is likeliness of getting stolen. To somebody who's not into vintage celluloid fountain pens, this Sheaffer is probably looks ugly to them. Especially this one, it's not perfect in color. There's some browning on the barrel and on the cap there towards the back where the cap posts. This is probably not going to get stolen. And also, if somebody takes a pen apart and they see this monstrous piece of gold, this monstrous gold nib, they're not going to know what to do with it, and they may think that it's worth a lot of money. And that, in an office, that may actually prevent somebody from stealing it. Everybody's gonna know if they steal this, they're not gonna be able to use it and not have somebody ask them about it every single time they pull it out. So another cool thing about it, every time you pull this out, people are gonna be like, what is that? Because it's cool looking. This pen is gonna get stolen if you leave it on your desk. It's modern looking, and the nib is hooded. It doesn't look. It looks like almost easy to write with, and it'll blend in. They really don't stick out all that much. So probably more likely to get stolen depending on the environment, and that might not be important to you. But I figured I would note it. They're both really, really nice writers on bad paper. Like I said, I'm going to do a quick little writing sample because that's really what it's about. And for me, I use the Lamy more because it is a little bit more practical in all of those categories. It's a little bit better, but I definitely like writing with the Sheaffer more. And that's why I have a multiple pen case, so you can bring both or all or more pens, you know, to work. So I'm going to do a quick little writing sample, show you how it writes, talk about them a little bit more. Alright, so this is going to be on a writing sample on Tomo River paper. The Lamy I'll do first. So again, this is what is this? What ink is this? Hold on. Oh. This is Waterman Serenity. Blue. Tomo River. See if we can get some sheen from this fine nib on this ink. Really nice writer, obviously. A wet line. Never gonna have any issues with this pen. I'm also gonna do a quick little cheap paper writing sample. But, you know, these Lamy 2000s are gold nib, reliable writers. That's why people get them. They're great workhorse pens. Never going to have an issue with this thing. So, now just to give you a quick cheap paper example. See how it writes. You can see more absorption. But still reasonable for work. Nobody's gonna look at that and say what kind of ink hose were you writing with. Alright, now we'll give the Sheaffer its shot. This nib is beautiful. These pens are incredibly well balanced, really comfortable to write with. Big gold Sheaffer nib. These nibs are really pretty big, considering. This one's a little bit finer. Not a Q. Sorry, the dog is chewing very loudly in the background. Alrighty, there's the Sheaffer. Give it its fair shot on the crappy paper. See, this one looks more similar to the Lamy on this paper because, or even thicker, because the ink flow is so nice. either way, both are an absolute delight to write with. And that's why I bring them to work every day. You couldn't go wrong with either, really. I like to change it up. That's why I have, you know, vintage and modern pens. And you're really, for the Sheaffer to even keep up in a competition like this, that clearly should go to the modern pen, I think is pretty impressive. It really is slightly an advantage to the Lamy, but that is to be expected. And you get into vintage flex and you got a slight advantage for the vintage pen. So I think it's cool to use vintage pens as daily writers, workhorse writers, and I think it's cool to use modern pens as flex writers, as you see right now. So thank you for watching. I'm going to be posting a lot more flex pen videos soon. A lot more pens coming up for sale. So stick around, keep watching. Thanks for watching this one. I'll talk to you later.